Big Will, not Big Souk, Big Will.
Big Will Betts, baby.
Big Will Betts, baby.
It's a little creepy.
What is that? Is it the O? What are you doing? Is that a heart? Is that
It's a heart.
You're doing a Taylor Swift sort of thing?
It is. He just said before it's a Tay-Tay heart.
After weeks of testimony and deliberation, Oregon lawmakers on a special joint committee released their framework today for legislation meant to address the state's drug crisis and roll back drug decriminalization under the 2020 Measure 110.
Yeah. Didn't work.
Measure 110.
Didn't work out so well for us.
So we had, 2020, we had the COVID. You remember that whole global pandemic?
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
We had that, and we were like, drugs, whatever. All in the same year.
We're like, we're pretty cool here. Everyone handle it responsibility. And turned out they didn't handle it responsible. No, that was bad.
Faced with mounting substance use and a rise in overdoses, the legislature formed the Joint Interim Committee on Addiction and Community Safety Response.
God, glad we got a committee.
Got to have a task force.
Love our committees and task force.
And they gathered ideas about what the state can do to change the policy and better address the issues. Of course, Measure 110 has received mounting blame for the state's failure to address substance abuse and addiction. The framework released Tuesday represents the core concepts of a bill or multiple bills without yet being written into bill form.
So we just have a rough idea. We got an outline of how we're going to tackle this.
From the task force.
Yeah.
We need to urgently expand drug treatment and addiction prevention in our state while stopping drug dealers, confiscating hard drugs, and cleaning up trash and graffiti. That's very broad, but
Yes.
that's Kate Lieber, the Senate Majority Leader and co-chair of the committee. She said, "We will not solve this problem overnight, but this plan will get people the help they need, clean up our communities, and save lives."
Yeah. Well,
I don't see it.
And all of those things are important. Because
Under the framework.
I want to save lives, but I also don't want our city to look like a sewer, and I also don't want to walk downtown and see everyone doing meth. It's not good.
Under the framework, Measure 110 would not be repealed, but drug decriminalization would be effectively ended. As things currently stand, if you are caught in possession of user amounts of drugs, you can earn a Class E violation, a ticket for about $100, basically.
Yeah, which
is waived if you contact the substance use hotline.
And
right?
by the way, just FYI, none of the people getting caught have $100, and they're not going to call. So
the new proposal would change that to a Class C misdemeanor, the lowest level misdemeanor crime under Oregon law. Carries a maximum sentence of 30 days in jail, a $1,250 fine, or both. It also adds that someone charged with possession would have a defense against the charge if they completed a behavioral health screening and caseworker intervention called a deflection program.
Can't we just force people to either go to get cleaned up or do some time in jail? Is that like the most ridiculous thing in the world? No? Anybody?
Well, that's not what you were saying in 2020.
It's not.
Here on these airwaves.
Again, I admit when I'm wrong, but if we catch you smoking meth,
I think the whole point is jails are overcrowded.
Can we open some treatment centers for God's sakes?
Well, that's what she just said. I mean, clearly they're all over it.
To actually make them do it. I don't know if you know. Threaten them one or the other. There has to be consequence. Not sure if you know about meth, heroin, and fentanyl, but the people doing it don't necessarily want to stop.
But if they
do want to stop, they can't because it's addictive.
If you don't have jail, then once again, how do you threaten them? You can't.
Well, again, it says it's a Class C misdemeanor, which is a maximum sentence of 30 days in jail, a $1,250 fine, but you can get out of it with the deflection program.
Yeah.
And that's where if you complete your behavioral health screening, caseworker intervenes, gets you sober, then they're like, we don't worry about the crime. So that's what we're going to do. Or at least that's what they think they're going to do.
Yeah, it says don't worry about it. They're all over it. I don't know what you're worried about. Vancouver Ford text line. I trust the city. They got it. They've never let us down before.
Well, there's nothing like a task force. To get stuff done, to look into things and then suggest.
You always got to give people a lot of money and then they'll figure this out, right?
Well, yeah, just throw money at it. That'll solve it. Someone said just move it behind closed doors. It's better than it being out in the open. I don't want it behind closed doors either, but I'd rather have it that than out in front of my favorite restaurant.
P1 Dustin said the Portugal decriminalization worked because there was a stick along with the carrot. Yes, you will not get arrested if you go to treatment. But if you refuse treatment, guess what? You went to jail. So we decided to enforce that, but we didn't offer treatment or send people to jail.
Yeah.
So what did we really do?
It's like when they were doing that camping ban thing and they were like, your first offense is a ticket, your second offense is a bigger ticket, your third offense is jail, but we're not going to send you to jail. Like they came out and said that. Cool. I'm not going to pay either one of those tickets and good luck. Again, not sure how you're not familiar with the way that the homeless and the drug addicts operate, but timely bill paying not high on their list. Like as you're sitting there on the street in your tent all methed out, I wonder if you're ever sitting there and be like, God, I gotta get these bills paid. Got that summons I got to appear before. To find some time in my busy scavenging day to go out and make sure I write that check. For God's sakes.
So that's from the Democrats. The Republican side is much stronger, as you can imagine, on this. And they have their deal is they want criminalization of public drug use.
Yeah.
That's something that the Republican bill would do.
Yeah. Do it like the rest of us. Smoke your meth in the privacy of your own dwelling. My kid's senior project is more complete than the task force plan. Yeah.
Well, again, task force, they just suggest.
Yeah, just putting
They
things
get
out.
feedback and they sit around a table and they
That's right.
talk about it.
Blue ribbon fact-finding commission.
I just remember how scared I was, like in college, when it was still not legal to like smoke pot in public. Now, God, it's like we live in just a whole different matrix of a world because it doesn't matter. I mean,
Well,
that's
here
the
we
least
do.
of their problems.
We do here.
Yeah, here.
I once ruined my favorite pair of sweatpants because I had to shove a joint in there real quick.
That's awesome.
Why'd that ruin it?
Burn a hole. Burn a hole right through it.
Oh.
As if the cop was going to be super fooled by my clever ruse.
Hey, sir, your junk is smoking a little bit there.
Guy that called me a dumbass and kept walking. I was like, sorry. Some beat cop in Utah. I was like, hey, whatever, dumbass. Just kept walking.
All right, there's your In the News.